All right, greetings, class, and welcome to week number 7. That is right, week number 7 of your 7314 class, which is your reference class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. J.S.K. Austin. And what we are going to do today is our Wikipedia check-in video. So this is a video that is meant to get you kind of prepared for the upcoming Wikipedia edit assignment. That Wikipedia edit assignment is due, by the way, on October 15th. So in about a week and a half. Now, I will say that I have been told in the past that students, I've had students tell me that it took them between half a day and 2 days to do it. So this is not a very time-consuming assignment. And then another thing that I want to bring up is that the Wikipedia edit assignment that we are going to be talking about in this particular check-in video, that assignment is, excuse me for a moment. This assignment, for one thing, it is going to require proper APA use, and I have started grading the virtual reference practice papers, and I have seen that several of you did not do the APA correctly. So I am referring those of you who didn't do the APA correctly the first time back to the Purdue OWL and to the check-in video that I did discussing APA. I still have a lot more of the virtual reference practice papers to grade, but I'll try to get those graded this week so that you all have plenty of time to do your APA correctly, because I've seen quite a bit of bad APA already, unfortunately. I warned you all against it, but I see that it's still happening, and I want to make sure that nobody loses points over APA on this Wikipedia edit assignment if you lost points on it the first time, okay? All right, so we are going to talk a bit about the state of the course first, and then we're going to get back into Wikipedia and some of my thoughts about it, why it's important, and why we have to take it seriously, blah, 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 blah. But we will get into that in a second. But first, let's get into our state of the course update. So, first of all, with the state of the course update, the main thing that you all do need to know is that, yes, I am going to get your semester-long project actually uploaded into the course this week. We are done with accreditation, and I am done with my promotion packet. Those things were in tandem stressing everybody and sizzled out throughout August and September, but we are done. The accreditors have left, and my packet was due on October the 1st. So whether or not I get promoted or not, all I know is at least that packet is out of my hair and I don't have to deal with it anymore, okay? Hopefully I'll get promoted. Keep your fingers crossed for me if you like me. If you don't like me, then I guess keep your fingers split against me. I don't know. But yes, hopefully we will get that promotion and a little more job security. So that's what's going on in my neck of the woods. We are going to get that semester-long project, like I said, uploaded into the class this week, and I will send out a message once it is uploaded so that you all know that you can go ahead and start on this version. Again, if you do 6 to 7 questions per week, you'll finish in time. Okay, so that's the pace. But you may want to do more some weeks and that sort of thing. Just make sure. I've had students tell me it took them about 40 total hours to complete the that semester-long project. So yeah, if you wait for the last 2 weeks of class, and I've had students do that, if you wait for the last 2 weeks of class, it's going to stress you out because you might end up doing like 20 hours of work over the 1 week and 20 hours the next, okay? But yes, I'm going to get it uploaded this week, and once I do that, you can go ahead and get started, and answering about 6 to 7 questions per week will pace you to the finish line. All right, so the other state of the course thing that we need to kind of look at right now is that, yes, as I just said, your Wikipedia edit assignment is going to be due in about a week and a half, and we're going to be talking about that. You will not have discussion board prompts again until you don't have another one due until November the 17th. So you've got a little bit of time there. November the 17th is when the next one is due, and then you don't have another one until December the 7th, okay? So we are moving out of the stage of the course where you had a lot of discussion board stuff to do, and now you're focusing on other things, all right? The other thing that I want to make sure you all are aware of or remind you of is that November the 7th is going to be our final sync session. So you don't have a sync session in October at all. So you can use this time to be working on that Wikipedia edit assignment. You're going to start on your LibGuide probably this month as well, okay? And you're going to be doing those semester-long projects. But yeah, October is not a month where you have discussion boards or a sync session with me. All right, so that's pretty much it with state of the course updates. Let's go ahead and get into some Wikipedia-ish stuff. Pause. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our Wikipedia edit prompt. So yes, this is going to be worth 13 total points, and you actually do have a nice little rubric here. Make sure you follow this rubric, and yes, this does include, again, APA. I will be checking for proper APA use. Now, you will see language that sort of suggests that you have to pick something scholarly or something like that with this Wikipedia edit assignment. Quite frankly, no, you don't have to. That language is in the course just to kind of cover my ass. But I really want you all to enjoy this assignment. So what I want you all to do is make your Wikipedia edit assignment based on something that you actually want to do. Edit a page that you're actually interested in. Or if you want to start a page, every now and then I have somebody who just wants to start a page build a page, create a page as opposed to editing a pre-existing one. Yes, if you want to actually start a new page, that's fine as well. Again, just go ahead and you don't have to pick something that's scholarly. Pick something that is interesting to you. A lot of people do a band that they like, a lot of people, or a TV show that they like. You can do that. You can do your hometown or a town that you like. You can do your college or your high school. There are a lot of possibilities. If you have a favorite author or a favorite book, those types of things. But all of that to say, yes, you have some options, and you don't have to do something scholarly or serious. Do something that you will enjoy, okay? But yes, Wikipedia is, now that I've said that, I'm going to go into quite a bit of soapboxing. This is not going to be a short video, unfortunately. I apologize to those of you who do like the short videos. I do hope you're speeding this up. But this one's probably going to be about 30 minutes, maybe even more. But one thing that I want to say when it comes to Wikipedia, there are a lot of things that we need to talk about when it comes to Wikipedia. But the main thing is, Wikipedia these days is being used for the purpose that encyclopedias used to be used for in the old days of reference. And what I mean by that is prior to the emergence of the internet, I do know some librarians who were reference librarians before the internet. So like back in the 80s, early 90s, even late 70s. I'm seeing fewer and fewer of them these days because those people are starting to retire, or have been retiring actually for a little while. But there are still some, quite a few still around. And one thing that a lot of these people will tell you is that, yes, before the emergence of the internet, when somebody would ask a question, what they would do in order to do their initial or preliminary research and get an understanding of what they were being asked, they would go to the encyclopedias and do a little bit of background research there. These days, instead of doing that, a lot of librarians are actually using they're using Wikipedia as a starting point. So, for instance, if somebody asked about, if somebody asked about the Portia genus of spiders, which I was recently doing Wikipedia research about, these spiders in the genus called Portia, Portia. Those kind of questions are going to come to your desk. And when they come to the reference desk, when somebody comes to you like, yeah, I need to know about the Portia genus of spiders, that's going to probably initially catch you off guard. You're going to be like, whoa, what? Huh? And you are going to need to do a few things to kind of figure out, okay, what is this Portia genus of spiders? Nowadays, what librarians are doing is, they are going on Google, typing that in. A Wikipedia page is going to come up probably among the first few results. They're going to that Wikipedia page and learning the background information on the spider. And from there, they're learning other key terms and things that they can plug in their databases or in their catalog in order to find books that help this patron. Okay. And so, yes, I would say that Wikipedia has, as far as base reference work, Wikipedia has replaced your standard encyclopedia, your traditional encyclopedia. And that's not, in my opinion, a bad thing, because Wikipedia has been shown in studies to be just as accurate as Encyclopedia Britannica, okay? So Wikipedia does have its own internal peer review system, which you all probably already know, and that peer review system actually does do a good job in keeping bad information reined in on that site, okay? Now, another thing that I want to say about this, and this is something that I bring up every semester, and it's something that we need, there's a information science component to your degree as well. That's why it's a library and information science, or LIS degree. And when we talk about LIS, information science, and whether or not something is a useful source, one thing that I want you to come out or come away from this Wikipedia edit assignment with is knowing that, yes, Wikipedia is not a good source to recommend for people who are doing serious things, but the reason may not be what you think. So I know a lot of people, now there was no Wikipedia when I was in high school. I graduated from high school in 2001. So over 20 years ago, and no, there was no Wikipedia back then, okay? Or if there was, we certainly didn't have access to it because most of us did not have computers or the internet at home at my high school, okay? Not at that time. But having said that, a lot of students tell me that they were told by their high school teachers or their undergraduate professors that you can't use Wikipedia as a source because Wikipedia isn't accurate. Well, Wikipedia, like I just said, is just as accurate as Encyclopedia Britannica, is just as accurate as your major encyclopedias. The problem with Wikipedia is not accuracy. However, you will not want to assign Wikipedia as a source for people doing serious things for two other reasons. There are two things that make Wikipedia problematic, and accuracy is not one of them. Things that make Wikipedia problematic as a source are stability and authority, okay? And let me explain what I mean by those things, because when we're talking about information science and that component and how it relates to library science, those concepts of authority and of stability are very important. And so let me explain what's going on and what I mean by those two things, and then we're going to talk about a few other things. So when I talk about authority, one of the issues with Wikipedia is that you don't know who is doing the edits most of the time. Now, that can be figured out. You can go to those little top pages and track IPs and usernames and that sort of thing to see who's been editing what, but that's very cumbersome. That information is not right at you. It's not like you have an article with a byline. Like, I used to be a newspaper reporter when I was younger, and I had a byline. So you would have an article. This is what happened at the city council meeting by Jason Austin. And so you knew right away who wrote the article, and then you, if you wanted to, you could dig. You could be like, okay, does Jason Austin have biases? Is Jason Austin a liberal or a conservative? Is Jason Austin from here, or is he a transplant? And so forth and so on. And all of these things, by knowing the author and knowing things regarding authority, that would make you make informed decisions, or it would help you make informed decisions on what you would trust and what you might take with a grain of salt within that article, okay? And I say that to say that when you are dealing with Wikipedia, you do not have bylines on these articles. People are kind of editing them behind the shadows, and you don't know what their intentions are. You don't know whether they want to inform. You don't know whether they want to persuade. You don't know what their biases are, and so forth and so on. And so that is an issue. Usually when we are directing our patrons to sources, we are trying to direct them to sources that actually do have, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, you want to direct them to sources that are bylined and that you know who produced them, so that you can then evaluate, if necessary, the motives of those who produced those sources, okay? So that is the issue with authority. The other issue with Wikipedia is stability. And when I say stability, what I mean is whether or not the source is going to say the same thing in 2022 that it said in 2002. All right. So let me give you an example of that and kind of flesh out that concept a little more, because again, these are concepts that are important and things that you're going to want to learn if you are going to proceed within this field. All right. So with Wikipedia, one thing that you are going to, one of the strengths of it is that it can be edited on the spot. It can be edited by anyone and everybody on the spot. And so that keeps it pretty well up to date. Like, for instance, like if somebody dies, if a celebrity dies, or heaven forbid, but we know it's going to happen one day because it's in hospice care. So let's say that former President Jimmy Carter died. Let's say that were to happen. It would take a while, probably the next issue of an encyclopedia, or the next volume of an encyclopedia, I should say, it would take that for that print encyclopedia to be updated to say President Jimmy Carter was born this year and died this year, as opposed to born this year and then still living, right? But Wikipedia can be edited right away. So the day that Jimmy Carter dies, you are going to see updates on Wikipedia explaining that, okay? But the stability also means that a source will say one thing different one day from what it said the previous day or previous week or previous year or so forth and so on. And so that can kind of play around with accuracy issues, even though things can still be accurate. So let me put it this way. Let's take the former country, the USSR, right? So we all know that the USSR no longer exists. It used to exist and it no longer exists. The Soviet Union no longer exists. If you were to, in 1987, pick up an encyclopedia and the encyclopedia said the USSR is a country that blah, 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 that would be accurate. But then if you pick up an encyclopedia that was published in 2020, in 2020, if you picked up an encyclopedia that was published in 2020, that encyclopedia would probably say the USSR was, or the Soviet Union was, because it ceased to exist in the early 90s. It was dissolved in the early 90s, right? Now, both of those things are accurate. If you read something in 1987 that says Wikipedia that says the USSR is blah blah blah, that's accurate for 1987. But if in 2012 you read something that says the USSR was past tense something, that is also accurate. But you would need two different volumes of the encyclopedia for these things to work, right? So Wikipedia is different. Wikipedia can be edited. So the same Wikipedia page, let's say that Wikipedia existed in 1987. A Wikipedia page in 1987 that said the Soviet Union is blah, blah, blah would be accurate. And then somebody would update that in the early 90s to say the Soviet Union is blah, blah, blah. They would change that to the Soviet Union was blah, blah, blah. So the page is unstable because it says something different in 1995 than what it said in 1985, right? And it's still accurate either time in either snapshot of history, but it's saying different things even though it's accurate. So the issue isn't quite accuracy, the issue is stability. And when we are dealing, especially in an academic sense, but in other senses as well, when we are dealing with sources, we do want to recommend sources that will say the same thing in 1985 that they will say in 2085, okay? We want stable sources that will, even if the information is outdated in 2085, which is going to be if it was produced in 1985 on those issues, still, we want to use sources that are not changing so that when somebody goes back to the source, they can be like, oh yeah, this did say this, this, and that. The site, it did say what the person citing it said it did. Okay, and that's just not going to be the case with Wikipedia, and that can cause an issue for researchers, okay? So that's why Wikipedia's issues are not accuracy, the issues are stability and authority. Now, there are some other things that I want to say about Wikipedia, and I'm going to do that at this time, so give me one moment. All right, so there are three other things that I'm going to go into in Wikipedia, and these things are things that are more, they are a bit more soapboxy for me as opposed to objective information, but at the same time, these are things that I think are beneficial for students to hear. And my students in the past have heard them and they responded positively to knowing these things. And so these are things that I want you all to be aware of as well. So first of all, I do want to talk about one of my concerns with Wikipedia, and one of my concerns with Wikipedia is a security concern. Basically, I have the concern that Wikipedia will one day be used in the same way that social media is used by hostile governments, by foreign governments, so forth and so on, to spread disinformation. So we all know, I'm not telling any tales outside of school. You all already know that foreign governments, China and Russia, have done this, and I probably think that the United States has probably done this to other countries I think that we've probably done it as well, but we've certainly been victims of it, or had it done to us as well, as far as I do think that, yeah, we know that with social media, um, these foreign governments are spreading disinformation. They're creating fake accounts. There are troll farms, Facebook and Twitter troll farms, and all of this thing. And these accounts, they go out and they spread disinformation and they turn Americans against each other and they affect how Americans vote and so forth and so on. And it has a very crude effectiveness. Now, I don't think we'll ever be able to produce research that shows just how effective it is, but we do know that there's been a certain crude effectiveness to this type of interference through these disinformation campaigns. And I do think that the stage is set for this to, all a foreign power would have to do is kind of learn how to get around the peer review system that Wikipedia already has in place. But when that happens, I'm not saying if, I'm saying when that happens, y'all. When a foreign power learns how to actually navigate the peer review system that Wikipedia has in place, I think that you are going to be able to start disinformation campaigns through Wikipedia as well. And here is one of the things that informs my belief in this, because I find this absolutely scary. I find this, this is frightening to me. This is very, very frightening. So how many of you before this class ever heard of Stephen Pruitt? Right. Well, Stephen Pruitt has a large influence on the information that Americans are consuming every day. Stephen Pruitt is somebody who has edited over 3 million Wikipedia articles. 3 million Wikipedia articles. This guy has edited over 3 million of them. And he has also, he's created hundreds of Wikipedia pages, starting them from scratch, in addition to editing over 3 million. There are other articles written about him, so you may just want to find one of those other articles. One of those other articles will tell you how many Wikipedia pages he has created. It's in the hundreds. And then the amount that he's edited is in the millions, y'all. The millions. This is somebody we have not heard of. That's what I want you all to be aware of. This is not somebody who's a household name. This is somebody who is one of, and even Time Magazine recognizes, this person is very influential because they are editing and tampering with the information that Americans are consuming on an everyday basis, and yet people don't know that this person exists. A lot of people do know now, but still not the majority of people. They are trusting the information that he is altering and putting out there, but they don't know him. They don't know his biases. They don't know his motivations. They don't know what, they don't know anything. People don't know this guy's background. He's not bylined in these articles that he is creating and editing. There's no byline. This guy works from the shadows, but he has a huge, huge, huge influence on information consumption in the United States, and we don't know who he is, y'all. We don't know who he is. Now we have a better idea because not too long ago, when I first started talking about Stephen Pruitt in these check-in videos, at first he did not have a Wikipedia page based after him, but he does now. However, you know, still, it's a very small Wikipedia page, and this still doesn't tell us a whole lot about him. But at least now we know a little bit more about who he is. But what I would say is, what if we can probably kind of trust that, yeah, Stephen Pruitt doesn't have any malicious intent against Americans. Probably Stephen Pruitt is just a guy who's out here doing a hobby, doing a passion. But what if the next Stephen Pruitt is a Russian operative? What if the next Stephen Pruitt is a terrorist? What if the next Stephen Pruitt is somebody who wants to see the United States dissolve the same way that the Soviet Union was dissolved? And what if the next Stephen Pruitt was effectively able to use Wikipedia to spread disinformation, to put Americans against each other, and to influence elections and make the integrity of our nation weaker? That is scary to me. No, I realize that we have a student in Austria and we have a student in South Korea. So not everybody is an American, but still, just for the sake of putting this all out where we want it to be, I am just going to keep it sort of Americentric. But what I would also say is those countries may have enemies as well. Certainly, South Korea has probably a very not so great relationship with North Korea, right? So what if North Koreans were doing this on South Korean Wikipedia pages, right? Or, Austria, I don't know of Austria. I don't know of what their foreign policy issues are these days. But what if they do have a nation that they're not that great, that they don't have a great relationship with? And what if that nation started using Wikipedia to undermine the Austrian government and those who vote in Austria, So I think that this is very dangerous stuff. Now, another thing that I want to say real quick, and this might be frankly kind of offensive, but it's something that I feel needs to be said, and so it's something I'm going to say. I want you all to always have balance in what you do. We have a lot of librarians out here who just make librarianship their whole lives. They make it what they eat, live, and breathe. All of their friends are librarians. I've met quite a few librarians who look forward to conferences because that's quote unquote when they see their friends. Like they don't have friends in their own communities. All of their friends are people who are professional colleagues elsewhere, and they look forward to seeing their friends at conferences and things like that. I'm beyond that. I make friends. I didn't have friends when I first moved to Kansas City, but now that I've lived here for a while, yes, I have friends who are here, and I don't depend on my job for my social life, and that's not healthy. The reason why I'm saying that is because when I look at Stephen Pruitt, and this may be, again, some of you may take offense to this, but I'm just going to put it out there and deal with it as the chips fall where they fall. This is somebody who has edited 3 million pages and wrote hundreds of Wikipedia articles, right? Started hundreds of Wikipedia articles. So this is somebody who puts a lot of his time into Wikipedia. And I do question, I don't know Stephen Pruitt. I don't know what Stephen Pruitt does with his time. But I know that a significant amount of his time goes into Wikipedia. Now, I am older than Stephen Pruitt. I am older than 39. I am in my 40s. I am 40, okay? I am 40 years old. I'm a year older than this person. But I don't know, and this isn't meant to be mean, but I don't know if I look like I'm older than Stephen, and I don't know if Stephen, I think Stephen, and I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just trying to put out a warning out here. In my opinion, Stephen looks a little older than his 39 years. And what I have to say about this is I think that if Stephen is spending so much time editing Wikipedia, then maybe Stephen isn't doing some other things that might be healthy, such as spending time with friends, such as getting adequate sleep, such as exercising, such as eating good food, good healthy food. And these are the things that I want you all to do at the student level. And then even when you're in your careers, I want you all to have some mindfulness. I don't want you all to spend all your time doing library crap. I know too many librarians who do, and it's a bad look. They do end up looking, again, sorry if I'm sounding mean, but the librarians I know who make librarianship their entire social life, they do end up looking older. They do. They do end up gaining weight. They do end up, seeming to have like symptoms related to anxiety disorders, which I'm diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. I do have generalized anxiety disorder. I've been diagnosed with it. But I've met librarians who maybe weren't and wouldn't be diagnosable, but still, based on all that they do within libraries, they don't have a balance on their they just don't have good balance on their social lives. And you can see it physically from them. You can see it physically, not just from demeanor. You can see it physically. And so I do want all of you, I would like for all of you to do things, make sure nobody else is going to look out for you. So you're going to have to look out for yourself. So yes, make time for rest, make time for friends, make time for sleep, make time for healthy food. Don't go to McDonald's every day. I don't want to see you all be as bad off as some of the people that I see in this field. Okay? Take care of yourselves. All right, so that's it on the Stephen Pruitt thing. I just wanted to put all of that out there, and now I want to redirect your attention to a few other things going on. For those of you who are into social justice, and I know that's a lot of you, and that's a good thing. If you're into social justice, one thing that you might want to do throughout your career is actually be aware of the bias that comes in Wikipedia. Wikipedia does have some racial bias. It does have some ableism and things like that going on. Wikipedia's biggest issue, though, is gender bias. And so there are people out here, librarians and others, who are actually taking the time to do things to kind of deflect and work against the or solve the gender bias issues that Wikipedia has. So here you see Jessica Wade. She has made more than 1,000 Wikipedia bios for unknown female scientists, and this is good work. This is Lord's work right here. And the reason why this is good work is because, yes, Wikipedia does have that gender bias, and it does focus more on the accomplishments of men or male identifying people than on female identifying people, okay, or on females or women. So, yeah, we got to do something about that. And what we got to do about that is we've got to actually we got to bring those stories to the forefront. We have to do what Jessica Wade did. We have to build these pages for unknown female authors and unknown female scientists and unknown female doctors and lawyers and all of the great women who have done things and are still doing things that are worth having a Wikipedia page about them, but the Wikipedia page does not exist about them. We can correct that. We can correct that with what we do as information professionals, and that is what librarians are. Librarians are information professionals. So I would love to see you all do this type of work. It's very helpful. Do the type of work that shows people that, hey, women have contributed a lot to our society, and they are worth reading about. And even though the gender bias does trump the racial bias and other things, this works for the racial bias stuff as well. Black people have done shit in this country. We have contributed to this country's well-being, regardless of what those who try to erase that would say. And so we do need to make those Wikipedia pages that tell those stories as well. And the same for people of Asian descent and people who are indigenous and people who are Latin and so forth and so on. And then also we have to look at the ableism pieces. We have to look at those who had disabilities and contributed to the society despite their disabilities, or, you know, people who worked in the area of making things accessible for those who are disabled and things like that. Okay. So Wikipedia does have its various biases. You do have the gender bias, and actually Wikipedia even has a gender bias page for itself, because that's how bad the problem is, y'all. I'm not just making this up. Wikipedia has these bias issues related to gender, so much so that it has its own page dealing with it. Okay, so that is another thing that I want you all to be aware of. And then finally, what I want to do is bring your attention to Wikipedia edit-a-thons. Okay. Unfortunately, usually when I do this, and usually when I teach this class and do this particular check-in video, the check-in video for Wikipedia, usually there is an upcoming edit-a-thon, so I can tell people, okay, if you want to get involved in Wikipedia edit-a-thons, and basically what a Wikipedia edit-a-thon is it is a set aside time where, like, let's say that some medical school was hosting a Wikipedia edit-a-thon. What they'd be doing is setting aside time where medical professionals and librarians as well, but like where doctors and nurses and medical researchers and then also librarians, this would be set aside time for them to make to make pages related to health and wellness and medicine better. So people may take this time to, for instance, they would take that Wikipedia edit-a-thon time to review the Wikipedia page for aspirin and to be like, okay, is aspirin effective, or it does everything that should be known about aspirin as far as an overview, is that stuff in here? And if it's not, we can add it. That is the purpose of the edit-a-thon, and this is the first time that I have not had an upcoming edit-a-thon, which is kind of deflating. So we've had some earlier in the year. It looks like there was this one was probably back in July, June, and we're seeing that. That's from 2021. But I'm not seeing an upcoming Wikipedia edit-a-thon that I can encourage you all to be a part of. So what I would just say is that Wikipedia edit-a-thons, they do pop up periodically, and if you join library listservs, that's a lot of times where you can find out about Wikipedia edit-a-thons. So you may want to join some library listservs. You probably will end up on them anyway, given that that's how this field works. And when you see an edit-a-thon that's dealing with something that you are interested in discussing, you can go ahead and, excuse me for a second. Sorry about that. So actually what happened there, I apologize. A kid threw a baseball and it hit my car, and he was letting me know. So very good. Good kids who confess when they do things. That is awesome. So I guess I'm in a good neighborhood. I just moved into this neighborhood a couple months ago. So good to see that the kids don't just break stuff and run away. They let you know. And nothing was broken. He was worried he might have dented the car up, but we're fine. Anyway, yeah, so Wikipedia edit-a-thon pages, hopefully when you come across a Wikipedia edit-a-thon that's coming up that is dealing with a topic that you are interested in seeing edits for or interested in being a part of. And I know probably a lot of you identify as people who are interested in feminism and social justice for women. And if you are, yes, there are going to be opportunities for that, opportunities to enhance pages that are about women. And you don't have to wait for an edit-a-thon. You can go ahead and just do that now. If you want to enhance pages that are about famous women or even women that are not so famous but did remarkable things and should be known, go ahead and get on it. But Wikipedia edit-a-thons are definitely a great time for people to come together and do that kind of work and have time set aside to do it, okay? If that makes sense. So, yeah, we're going to leave it right there. I'm going to have links to all of these things in the announcement as well. So you'll see all of that. And I am actually going to take my daughter to National Night Out tonight, which is something that it's October 3rd this year, but if you don't take your kids to Night Out, I would recommend that you consider it. I am not a big fan of law enforcement, but still, I take them to Night Out just so that I can get a feel for the cops in the area, and then also so that my daughter can get an understanding. I don't want my daughter to think cops are great, but I don't want her to think they are bad either. I want her to know the good and the bad, so to speak. And when I was coming up, we were taught that the cops were our enemies. So, now that I've known cops, especially through journalism, I know that they're not all bad. And so I don't want my daughter to fear cops the same way that I feared them growing up. All right. Because one of my first lessons was to be told by your aunt when I said hi to a cop in a fast food restaurant. She was like, "Don't talk to that pig, it'll blow your fucking head off." And that's a weird thing to tell somebody who's 6. But, that's just how things work in my community. And I don't want my daughter to fear that any cop that sees her is going to kill her. All right. I'm going to leave it there. I am Dr. Jace, and yes, authority is an issue with Wikipedia because it is hard to get a trace on who made those edits. All right, I'm going to leave it right there. We'll see you next week. Bye.